Hello everyone, George Packard Family Lawn and Landscape, and today we're going to talk about the question that constantly keeps coming up to me is how many residential lawn care customers should your guys be doing in a given day? So, that being said, very difficultly I might add, keep in mind I have a cold, it depends on a lot of things. So I've tried, it's very hard to answer everybody on this because there's so many variables, so I'm going to try and do a video on this so everyone understands. There's a ton of variables that go into how many jobs, how many residential jobs your guys should be doing in a given day. First thing we're going to talk about is your average property size. Okay, that makes a big difference. Obviously, if you're down in Florida where you're doing an eighth of an acre or a quarter of an acre lot, obviously I'm going to be able to come in there and whip those out a lot sooner than Wisconsin area where I might be mowing 2 and 3 acres at a pop. Okay, so lawn size is something you got to think about. Number two, the equipment being used. How efficient is the equipment being used? So in other words, if I had, like down in Florida, I have 36-inch stand-on mowers, so that you can just take off with them, get into the backyards and get them done. They're very fast, very efficient. If I were to bring that mower here to Wisconsin, use it on these 3-acre lawns, that would not be very efficient whatsoever. So here I have the 60-inch riding Gravely mowers, and I use those bad boys here to get my jobs done efficiently so I can get them done fast, okay? So it makes a difference. And if you guys are doing them with a push mower, that makes another difference. If you're just pushing these lawns and it's all arm strength, well, it starts out, they might go good, might go decent up until noon, and after that, they're going to start tapering down because they're constantly pushing these things and your guys are getting tired, more tired all the time. So, that versus a self-propelled, let's say for example, if you had a self-propelled lawnmower, they're still going to slow down because the guys are getting tired. But that's why I kind of like my stand-on mowers because, yeah, your guys slow down a little bit, but it's not much because I'm not wearing them out throughout the day. You know, they're not wore out because they're not pushing all these lawns all the time. You know, they're just standing on a rider, zip, 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 zip. It's kind of fun, you know. So anyway, that being said, you got to have the right equipment for the type of jobs that you guys are looking at, okay? You want to be efficient, all right? So, routing efficiency is another big deal. So how efficient can you make their route? Are you bouncing them all over the place? Is there no rhyme or reason to where they're going and they drive down the street, hit one, and then they drive on the other end of town and they get another one and then they drive back over? Or are they lined up on a map to where you have pinpointed exactly where they need to be right down the line, bam, 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 bam. Start on the north end, end up on the south, for example. Okay? That's a big deal. How many breaks these guys take? I didn't realize this was such a big deal till I actually put GPS tracking units in the trucks, and then I was able to determine, I remember one of my trucks just recently down in Florida was doing 13 jobs a day, okay? Typically, there should be doing 20 jobs a day. They're doing 13. So I started to track on there and look and see why. They were at the gas station like 4 times during the day. So, and they would sit there for 20 minutes to a half an hour. They wasted a ton of time. So, as far as I need to stick back to the routing part of it, once your routing's all established, if you're letting these guys have these breaks, you're allowing them to run to the gas stations and waste time, that's going to affect your bottom line because they're not going to get as many jobs done and you're going to continue to pay them. Okay, so you got to be on top of your game that way. Excuse me again, I had this terrible cough, guys, sorry. Is your equipment all fueled up? Is everything ready to go first thing in the morning? When they come up, like with our guys in Florida, manager's standing there, guys roll in, they're in the trucks, they go and they get fueled up. We can't fuel them up at night and make sure they're ready for the morning because they come in at different times at the night. They don't come in at 5 o'clock every day. They stay out on their route. Some guys don't come in till 6, 7, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night. You know, those are guys that are trying to push through, get through their routes so they can have a 3-day weekend or what have you, okay? And I don't mind as long as all the jobs are getting done properly. Okay, I don't care how many hours they want to work. If they want to work 14-hour day, totally fine with me as long as we don't have any complaints and everybody's happy. So, anyway, equipment being broke down a lot. If you have a lot of used equipment and you're constantly fixing things and everybody's broke down a lot, that's another thing that's a huge variable for how many jobs should they get done in a day. Well, if they're always broke down or if they don't have the right equipment for the job, if they're using weed whackers to do edging on the sidewalk because their edger took a shit, it's going to take them a lot longer to get those jobs done, you know. So if they're also using their weed whacker as a blower because the blower doesn't work, that's going to take them a lot longer to get done. So the efficiency of them and having the equipment, the right equipment to do the job is extremely important also, and that also is a big variable you got to think about, okay? How lenient or how demanding are you? So lenient, are you going to allow them to go to that gas station? I kind of touched on it earlier. Are you going to allow them to go to the gas station 4 times a day? Are you going to allow them to take an hour lunch? Or how do you run it? What do you do? See, that all comes into play at the end of the day. When I was in the trucks and going, I packed my lunch, I brought it right with me, and I didn't stop for lunch per se. I mean, we would stop to go to the bathroom or something if you had to do that, but otherwise it was go. There's plenty of time. When you have 20 minutes between this job and the next one, I use that time to snack or eat or have a cup of coffee or whatever you're going to do down the road, and I expect my guys to do the same thing. So there's plenty of time for that. That's the way I look at it. It's totally how lenient you are or how demanding you are. Makes a difference. Experienced people. Another thing that makes a big difference. Obviously, if you have some experienced guys, they should be able to go fast and get things done, okay? However, you have inexperienced guys, the opposite is going to happen. They're not going to get done fast. It's going to take them forever because they don't know what they're doing, okay? The quicker you can get them taught and trained, the faster and more efficient that they're going to be. There's a thing, I've seen this with older guys. I had somebody bring it up like, oh, you should just hire these young, teenagers because they can move fast. Well, that's BS. I don't believe that 1 minute. I've got a guy that works for me. He's 51 years old, and he'll run circles around them punks. So, yeah, I don't believe that whatsoever. So, anyway, I think it's all up here. I think it's your attitude. As long as you're trained, you should be able to get out there and get those jobs done every day. So, again, it's hard for me to predict what it's going to be for you because of the lawn size, all these other things that I mentioned in the video. But for me personally, I expect 20 jobs a day. I think that's easily done. There's no reason not to get that done. And again, this varies, it varies, how far apart are the jobs. I mean, there's so many variances that come into play. If you got to drive 20 minutes to each one, that's a big difference too, versus, 7 of them right on one street. Makes a huge difference. So, sorry I don't have a better answer than that, but I just broke it down the best way I could for you. You should be able to look at that and say, hey, these guys, there's no reason they can't get 15 done a day if they're big jobs, or even 6 if they're big commercial jobs or whatever. But you're going to have to, the best thing for you to do is to be on that truck at least 1 week with them and go through those jobs, and then you'll see yourself how long it takes to do them and write your notes. And then now you know what to expect. And if your guys aren't living up to that, dig into it and find out why. This has been George Packard, Family Lawn and Landscape. Hopefully you guys have learned something from this, and I appreciate you watching. And if you'd like to see any of our other videos, they are all archived on our websites and the links are below. Thanks for watching.